Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Axion.
I'm Sit.
We are continuing through Final Fantasy V and our discussion of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yep, and, well, I'm guessing from how some of these fights have gone over the course of the game, you kind of hate yourself sometimes, don't you?
Could be worse.
True, you could secretly hate yourself so much that you build your entire identity around disowning a huge part of your heritage and attacking anyone vaguely resembling that heritage. Today's topic is boomerang bigotry, hating what you are and trying to make sure no one finds out about it. Kind of a loaded topic for the present day, all things considered current events-wise.
Just that.
But, well, let it never be said that Harry Potter does things subtly. So, I think our biggest point of contact for this is going to be Mobile Voldy himself. Voldemort, the heir of Slytherin, the wizard supremacist, down with all muggles, leading multiple attempts at genocide at this point. Muggles are to be treated as chattel, toyed with, killed outright. They do not deserve to walk the same earth as us wizards. Has muggle blood. He is, in fact, a half-blood named for his muggle father. As Dumbledore does point out through, using the memories of those close to Voldemort who had been around him, young Tom Riddle was very, 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 very disappointed to discover that his father had been a muggle. He had thought that, yes, the mother who died at the orphanage after giving birth to him must have been the muggle because she was so very weak and a wizard would not have succumbed. Yeah, nope, she was the witch. And ever since then, well, he's gone so far as to abandon his very name to avoid the connection with his muggle ancestry. Tom Marvilla Riddle is no more Lord Voldemort. Only will answer to that, and yeah, pretty straightforward.
I mean, there's no sense in making it complicated.
Yep. And while it's nice to have a complex villain with complex motivations, sometimes it's not necessary. In this case, we have a bad guy who has managed to get a lot of influence from people in high places, which is really, really concerning and not at all topical. So we don't really need a whole lot of complexity on Voldemort's behalf. I think it would make him more interesting as a character, and I think he was more interesting before this book came along and basically just promised that, nope, he never had any interesting personality traits. He was always a very suspicious child, and it's kind of a miracle that, well, it's kind of a plot hole that no one noticed except Dumbledore, that he basically Eddie Haskelled everyone while torturing puppies in the basement. Like, you'd think, from how he was presented as being so clearly manipulative and able, and how unnerved all the kids at the orphanage were around him, that someone besides Dumbledore would have caught on before the murders started. But, whatever. I went off on the weeds again, didn't I?
Just a tad, but that's okay. Going off into the weeds is what we do here.
And sometimes the weeds are pretty. Look at this dandelion.
Up.
This one's less pretty. On the other hand, the other obvious point of contact for this would be the titular Half-Blood Prince, Snape.
So Snape gave himself that title in recognition of his half-blood status, but he is not in any way proud of it. He does not talk about his Muggle parentage in really any way. And it's basically a non-subject for him. That said, we don't see a lot of Snape's personal life.
And yeah, that's probably intentional just because, well, quite bluntly, our perspective character does everything in their power to avoid being around Snape, and wouldn't you? Like, Snape just kind of goes out of his way to make himself an unpleasant character to be around, unless you were on his very short list of sycophants.
More or less.
So, yeah, it's not really been that important for our perspective character to get any information about Snape. The closest we get is when the occlumency lessons go over as well as the Hindenburg. I chose my analogy carefully and I do not take it back.
I don't really think you need to.
But, yeah. So, it's an interesting parallel between Snape and Voldemort. Both half-bloods, both not particularly pleased with the Muggle father that they grew up with, or knew about in Voldemort's case. Both gave themselves a nickname to separate from that somewhat, though Snape actually leaned into his heritage, taking his mother's last name as part of the alias Half-Blood Prince, Eileen Prince. And we don't really know anything about her other than she played gobstones. I do find it interesting that Hermione was the only one who thought it might be a woman's name, and not just a grandiose, ah yes, I am the Prince of the Universe thing. But, I mean, to be fair, if I saw Prince, my first thought would be Raspberry Beret, so, you know. We're not immune to that, and cultural associations are a thing. So, they can be forgiven on that one, but, yeah. So Hermione's the one who actually started looking for a name Prince, and found Eileen Prince. So, there's the explanation there. And, yeah. Snape picked that when he started running around with the Death Eaters. Because obviously you want to focus on, like, separating yourself from the Muggles and everything like that, so blah 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 blah. Which is kind of ironic, because, you know, considering it's a supremacist organization, you'd think that admitting that you had mixed heritage would not go over super well. But then again, the Wizarding World has been so intermixed at this point that, well, if you stick to only the purest purebloods, you're gonna have, like, 6 people who are already related. And the Wizarding World is already awkward enough without that getting mixed in. But, yeah, I guess where this is kind of needing to go is, what would drive someone to that? To reject a part of yourself so strongly that you feel the need not only to suppress it in yourself, but in others.
I mean, part of it is generally, at least to some people, a sense of self-preservation. There is a chance that if you make your situation known, it will result in harm to you. If you keep your situation concealed and try to pass as a member of the superior class, whatever that may be in this particular context.
To note, superior class is heavily air quoted because
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, I presume that was implied, yes.
We live in 2022. 23.
That is also fair. But, if you conceal yourself successfully for long enough, you run less risk of harm to yourself at the hands of whatever the malevolent intent of the ruling class is for the people that do not meet their qualifications.
And to know, as history tends to show, those qualifications are ever shifting depending on socio-political need for the moment. Whoever needs to be scapegoated will be scapegoated and targeted
Exactly.
viciously. And whoever is the least able to fight back will be targeted first. So, Muggles first, because they have absolutely no magical ability whatsoever, aren't even aware of the magical world in 99.9% of cases. Take them out, then I would imagine next would be the Squibs, who can't do magic, then the Half-Bloods. And, you know, let's keep tightening and tightening and tightening this circle of who is allowed to be treated as a person, registered trademark, until you're basically sitting alone and screaming at yourself in the mirror because, well, congratulations, you did a genocide. You win a stupid head award.
To quote from the political YouTuber Innuendo Studios, the pyramid of power only grows narrower as you near the top, and when the top is all that's left, it narrows against itself.
I mean, that's basic geometry there. If you want to if you want to be on top of the world, you have to step on others to get there, which I hate, and I think we need to fix that. But there's only so far you can go before there's no more room to stand. But yeah, pyramids get narrower at the top, otherwise they don't stand up. You need to have a wide base to support anything. So it doesn't really make ideological sense anyway to alienate huge swathes of the population. But then again, that's what lying is for, so you think they're working in their self-interest, and then you stab them in the back at the first opportunity, and then they're like, oh, I didn't expect this, even though everyone else is like, there was a neon glowing red flag sign there. How did you miss it? And far too often the answer is usually just, well, I was mad and they said things that made me less mad in the moment.
Or it was convenient to my interests and pursuits. Or detrimental to my opponents. And unfortunately, for many people, that's all that's needed.
And we see this kind of very casually bandied about throughout a lot of the Harry Potter series, particularly coming from Pureblood Malfoy, who's slagging off absolutely everything. Even though, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who hang out with his posse are at least mixed blood. We don't know for sure anyone's heritage other than Malfoy's. Because he very much brags about it, but Crabbe and Goyle never say, Pansy Parkinson never says, Blaze and Beanie never says. They could be mixed. There could be a Muggle born among them, possibly, who just happens to be useful enough that they can coast under the radar. Most of the Death Eaters, we don't know either. Like, there's obviously a lot of purebloods in there, but again, there are not that many pureblood families left in the wizarding world, as mentioned. There's going to be a lot of mixed blood in there, and it's just a case of going after anyone who doesn't fit their ideal. Even though, as the series has proven, magical talent and affinity is not locked to blood. You have examples like Hermione and Lily, who are both Muggle-born and very talented. So it doesn't work that way. Making it even more uncomfortable is the fact that so many of the Death Eaters refer to people who, think maybe we shouldn't commit mass murder of Muggles are called blood traitors. That's not a term that comes without a huge historical weight behind it, and I really don't want to go back to talking about how much I hate the Confederacy again.
Oh, for the love of Pete, just run away! I don't have that many elixirs.
Like the Confederacy did. I'm gonna stop now. Yeah, so it says something that there's such a level of self-loathing implicit in a situation like that. So putting down a part of yourself that is not seen as fully accepted by society at large, as the case may be, and lashing out to stop anyone else from being comfortable with that part of themselves because you can't be, so why should you be happy? And if I put you down, I can get in for short-term gain with the powers that be and hope for the love of whatever is holy that they do not find out. What kind of a life must that be to live? Constant paranoia and self-delusion in the hopes that the biggest bully in the playground will pat you on the head and let you take the lunch money this time. How pathetic is that? It's extremely pathetic because Voldemort lost to an infant, as we recall.
I mean... what more is there to be said?
Don't know. Probably a good place to call it.
Alright, we will continue climbing this very, very tall tower and feeding elixirs to these things. Actually, no, I'm going to be about out of elixirs if this one doesn't bolt pretty quick, like... But yeah, that's about wraps up this particular discussion. We will catch you all next time.
Bye!
Please run away. Ah!